Your Honor, with all due respect, I'm worth more than this entire building and everyone in it combined. Those words hang in the air like poison gas. The courtroom is Providence Municipal Court. The date is March 14th, 2026. The judge is Frank Caprio. He's known for his compassion. He's famous for his fairness. But today, his face shows something different. Something harder. The man who just spoke is Alucin Reeves. He's 23 years old. He stands at the defendant's table wearing a chrome silver jacket from Off-White. It probably cost $3,000. His sneakers are limited edition Yeezys. White with gold threading. They go for $4,000 on resale sites. Around his wrist is a Patek Philippe watch. The kind that costs more than a house. His hair is perfectly styled. Bleach tips. Every strand in place. He wears diamond studs in both ears. They catch the fluorescent lights and throw tiny rainbows across the wood paneling. But it's his face that tells the real story. His lips curl into a smirk. His eyes are half closed. Bored. Like he's doing everyone a favor by being here. Like this is all just a waste of his very expensive time. If you believe justice should be equal for everyone, you'll want to see what happens next. Because what Judge Caprio does in the next hour will change this young man's life forever. The bailiff had called the case 10 minutes earlier. Case number 2026, TR 33421. His voice was professional, formal, like he'd done this 1,000 times before. Because he had. The state of Rhode Island versus Alucin Reeves. Reckless driving, leaving the scene of an accident. Attempted bribery of a public official. The charges are serious. Very serious. But when Alucin walked in, he looked like he was going to a nightclub. Not a courtroom. Not a place where his freedom was on the line. Judge Caprio had been reviewing paperwork. He looked up. His eyes are kind. Usually, he's an older man. Silver hair. Lines around his eyes from years of smiling. But those lines can also show disappointment. And right now, they do. Good morning, Mr. Reeves. Please approach the bench. Alucin walked forward slowly. Too slowly. His sneakers squeaked on the tile floor. Every step deliberate. He pulled out his phone. Checked something. Typed a quick message. Didn't look up. People in the gallery shifted in their seats. A woman in the back row whispered to her husband. A young man leaned forward. His eyebrows raised. The bailiff's hand moved slightly toward his belt. Just a reflex. Just in case. But there was someone else in that courtroom. Someone who mattered more than anyone else. Her name was Rosa Delgado. She sat in the front row on the opposite side. Her hands were folded in her lap. Her fingers twisted together. Nervous. Scared. Rosa is 54 years old. She came to America from Mexico when she was 19. She worked 3 jobs to get her citizenship. She saved every penny. She bought a small house in Providence. Nothing fancy. 2 bedrooms. 1 bathroom. But it was hers. She earned it. For the last 18 years, Rosa has worked as a home health aide. That means she takes care of elderly people who can't take care of themselves. She helps them bathe. She cooks their meals. She gives them their medicine. She holds their hands when they're scared. She makes $15 an hour. No benefits. No paid time off. If she doesn't work, she doesn't eat. Rosa has a son, Miguel. He's 16. He's a junior in high school. He wants to be an engineer. He gets straight A's. He's never been in trouble. Rosa works her 3 jobs to make sure he can go to college. To make sure he has chances she never had. 2 weeks ago, Rosa's life changed. She was driving home from her night shift. It was 11:47 p.m. She was on Broad Street near the hospital. Her car is a 2009 Honda Civic. It has 187,000 miles on it. The passenger door doesn't open from the outside. The air conditioning died 3 summers ago. But the engine runs. And that's what matters. She was stopped at a red light. Just waiting. Just tired. Just wanted to get home and see her son before he went to bed. That's when Alucin hit her. Judge Caprio looked at the young man standing before him. Alucin still had his phone out. Still scrolling. Mr. Reeves, I need you to put that away. Alucin glanced up. Just for a second. Yeah, 1 second. Just gotta answer this. The judge's jaw tightened. Just slightly. Now please. Alucin sighed. Like a teenager being asked to do his homework. He slipped the phone into his pocket. Okay. Fine. Can we make this quick, though? I've got a thing at 3. Whispers rippled through the gallery. Quick glances. Raised eyebrows. The bailiff took a small step closer. Judge Caprio set down his pen. He looked at Alucin for a long moment. Silent. Studying. Mr. Reeves, do you understand why you're here today? Alucin shrugged. One shoulder. Lazy. Some lady says I hit her car, or whatever. But like it was barely a tap. Her car was already a piece of junk anyway. Rose's hands clenched. Her knuckles went white. She bit her lip. Stayed quiet. Like she'd been taught. Like she always did. Judge Caprio picked up a folder. Opened it. Started reading. According to the police report, on March 1st at approximately 11:47 p.m., you were driving a McLaren 720S on Broad Street. You were traveling at 68 miles per hour in a posted 30 zone. You ran a red light. You struck Mrs. Delgado's vehicle from behind. You pushed her car 40 feet forward into the intersection. Mrs. Delgado suffered whiplash, a concussion, and 2 cracked ribs. You did not stop. You did not call for help. You left the scene. Alucin waved his hand. Dismissive. Okay, first of all, I wasn't going 68. Maybe like 50. And second, my car didn't even have a scratch. So it couldn't have been that bad. People in the courtroom shifted. An older man in a suit shook his head. A young woman covered her mouth. The bailiff's eyes narrowed. Judge Caprio closed the folder. Slowly. Mr. Reeves, are you aware that leaving the scene of an accident is a crime? Look, I panic, okay? I'm 23. I made a mistake. My lawyer says we can just pay her medical bills and make this whole thing go away. The judge leaned back in his chair. Is that what you think justice is? Writing a check. Alucin smiled. Actually smiled. I mean, yeah. Pretty much. That's how the world works, right? You break something, you pay for it. I'm willing to pay. So like, what's the problem? The problem was bigger than Alucin knew. Much bigger. Because this wasn't just about a car accident. There was more. A lot more. The prosecutor stood up. Her name is Linda Chun. She's been a prosecutor for 14 years. She's seen everything. Rich kids. Poor kids. People who made mistakes, and people who just didn't care. She knows the difference. Your Honor, if I may present additional evidence. Judge Caprio nodded. Please proceed. Linda walked to the center of the room. She held a tablet. After the accident, Mr. Reeves did eventually stop. But not to help Mrs. Delgado. He stopped 2 blocks away. Security footage from a convenience store shows him getting out of his car. He was on his phone. Laughing. She turned the tablet around. Showed the judge. Then the courtroom. On the screen was Alucin. Standing next to a bright orange McLaren. The front bumper was dented. Not bad, but visible. He was holding his phone up. Taking a selfie. His face was bright with excitement. His mouth open in laughter. This photo was posted to his Instagram at 11:52 p.m., 5 minutes after the crash. The caption read, quote, just gave some Honda a little love tap. McLaren barely felt it. Built different. End quote. It received over 47,000 likes. The courtroom erupted. Not loudly. But you could feel it. The energy. The anger. Someone said, "Are you kidding me?" Someone else cursed under their breath. The bailiff held up a hand. Order. Please. Alucin's smirk faded. Just a little. That was a joke. Obviously. Linda wasn't done. At 11:58 p.m., Officer Michael Torres arrived at Mrs. Delgado's location. She was still in her car. She was dazed. Confused. In pain. Officer Torres called for an ambulance. While he was checking on Mrs. Delgado, his radio crackled. Another officer had found the McLaren. Had found Mr. Reeves. She clicked to another image. A screenshot of text messages. Officer Torres approached Mr. Reeves. Informed him he was being detained. According to the body camera footage, Mr. Reeves said, and I quote, "Do you know who my father is?" Officer Torres said he did not. Mr. Reeves said, "Exactly. Which is why you should let me go before you make a huge mistake." Alucin shifted his weight. Crossed his arms. I was scared. I said some dumb stuff. So what? What happened next, Linda continued, is what brought us here today. Mr. Reeves reached into his jacket. Officer Torres immediately moved his hand to his weapon. A standard safety protocol. But Mr. Reeves wasn't reaching for a weapon. He was reaching for this. She held up a plastic evidence bag. Inside was a thick stack of $100 bills. Bound with a rubber band. $10,000. Cash. Mr. Reeves removed this from his jacket and attempted to hand it to Officer Torres. His exact words, captured on body camera, were, "Look, man, I'm sure we can figure this out." Take this. Forget you saw me. I'll get my car fixed quietly. Nobody needs to know. The courtroom went dead silent. Not a cough. Not a shuffle. Nothing. Everyone stared at the money. Then at Alucin. Then at the judge. Judge Caprio's face was stone. Mr. Reeves, did you attempt to bribe a police officer? Alucin's lawyer stood up quickly. He's a man in an expensive suit. Gray hair. Confident posture. Your Honor, my client was in shock. He wasn't thinking clearly. There was no criminal intent. I asked your client, counselor. Not you. Judge Caprio looked at Alucin. Waited. Alucin ran his tongue over his teeth. I was just trying to make things easier. For everyone. It wasn't a bribe. It was like a settlement offer. A settlement offer, the judge repeated. Flat. No emotion. To a police officer. In the middle of a traffic stop. For a hit-and-run accident. When you say it like that, it sounds bad. That's because it is bad, Mr. Reeves. But Linda Chen had even more. She clicked to another screen. Phone records. After Officer Torres refused the money and arrested Mr. Reeves, something interesting happened. At 12:14 a.m., a phone call was made from Mr. Reeves' phone. It lasted 7 minutes. The call was to his father, Marcus Reeves, founder of Reeves Capital Management. She paused. Let that sink in. At 12:31 a.m., the Providence Police Department received a phone call. The caller identified himself as Attorney David Brennan. He represents Reeves Capital Management. He demanded to speak to the chief. When told the chief was unavailable, he left a message. That message said, quote, "This is a tremendous overreach. You're harassing the son of a major donor to this city. Release him immediately or expect legal consequences." End quote. Murmurs spread through the room. A woman clutched her purse tighter. A man leaned over to his friend. "Major donor," he whispered. "Are you kidding me?" Judge Caprio held up a hand. Silence fell again. "Ms. Chun, is there more?" "Yes, Your Honor." At 1:03 a.m., the mayor's office received the call. At 1:45 a.m., a city councilman received the call. At 2:22 a.m., the police chief received the call at his personal cell phone. All from different people. All demanding Mr. Reeves be released. All making reference to donations, to political support, to connections. She set the tablet down. Looked directly at Alucin. 5 calls in 2 hours. All designed to make this go away. All designed to use money and power to avoid consequences. Alucin finally looked uncomfortable. He uncrossed his arms. Recrossed them. Shifted his weight. "That wasn't me. That was my dad. I can't control what he does." Judge Caprio picked up his pen. Started writing. "But you made the first call. You asked for his help. You wanted him to fix this." "Yeah. So? He's my dad. Of course I called him." "And did you think he would fix it?" Alucin paused. Too long. He usually does. Rosa Delgado had been silent through all of this. Sitting. Watching. Listening. Her face showed everything. The pain. The exhaustion. The fear. She'd been in pain for 2 weeks. Her ribs hurt every time she breathed. Her neck was in a brace. She couldn't work. Couldn't lift. Couldn't drive. Her son had been driving her everywhere. Missing school sometimes. Worried about her always. Judge Caprio looked at her. "Mrs. Delgado, would you like to address the court?" Rosa stood up slowly. Her movements were careful. Painful. She walked to the witness stand. The bailiff helped her up the steps. She sat down gingerly. Adjusted the microphone. "Mrs. Delgado, can you tell us what happened that night?" Her voice was quiet. Accented. But clear. "I was driving home. From work. I work with Mrs. Patterson. She is 82. She has dementia. I help her at night so her daughter can sleep. I was stopped at the red light. I was thinking about my son. He had a math test the next day. I was going to check if he studied." She paused. Swallowed. "Then I hear this sound. Like thunder. But louder. And I feel my car move. Fast. Like someone pushed me. Hard. My head hits the steering wheel. The airbag explodes in my face. I can't breathe. I can't see. Everything is white. And powder. And pain." Her hands trembled. She gripped the edge of the witness stand. "I don't know how long I sit there. Maybe 1 minute. Maybe 10. Then I hear a car. A loud car. It drives away. Fast. The engine screaming. And I think someone hit me. And they are leaving." A tear rolled down her cheek. She didn't wipe it away. The police come. The ambulance comes. They take me to the hospital. My son meets me there. He is crying. He thought I was dead. He thought he lost his mama. Judge Caprio's expression softened. Mrs. Delgado, what injuries did you sustain? 2 ribs. Cracked. Here and here. She touched her left side. Whiplash in my neck. A concussion. The doctor said I am lucky. Lucky I was not killed. She looked at Alucin. Really looked at him. Lucky your car hit me straight. If you had hit me from the side, I would be dead. My son would have no mother. Alucin looked away. Stared at the floor. I cannot work now. For 6 weeks, the doctor says. Maybe 8. I have no insurance. The hospital bill is $14,000. My car is totaled. The insurance company says it was worth $2,800. That is what they will pay me. I need a car to work. I need a car to take my son to school, to buy groceries, to live. But $2,800 does not buy a car that works. Not one that is safe. Her voice cracked. I saved for 4 years to buy that car. For years. Every extra dollar. Every extra shift. And now it is gone. Because someone was driving fast. Because someone thought it was fun. The courtroom was silent. You could hear Rosa breathing. You could hear the clock on the wall ticking. You could hear Alucin's expensive sneakers shift on the floor. Your Honor, I do not want to be here. I do not like courts. They scare me. But I am here because what he did was wrong. He hurt me. He left me. He did not care. And then he tried to pay the police to forget. Like I don't matter. Like my pain doesn't matter. Like I am nothing. She wiped her eyes. Finally, I am not nothing. I am a mother. I am a worker. I am a person. I matter. Judge Caprio nodded slowly. Yes, Mrs. Delgado. You absolutely matter. Thank you for your statement. You may step down. Rosa stood carefully. Walked back to her seat. Every step looked like it hurt. Her son was waiting for her. Miguel, 16 years old, wearing his school uniform. He took her arm. Helped her sit. His jaw was clenched. His eyes were wet. He stared at Alucin with pure anger. Alucin watched her go. When she sat down, he turned back to the judge. And that's when it happened. That's when he crossed the line so far there was no going back. Your Honor, I feel bad for her. I do. But let's be real here. She was driving a 17-year-old Honda. It was going to die soon anyway. And 14 grand for a hospital bill? I spend that on a weekend trip to Miami. I'm willing to pay her bills. I'll even throw in 20 grand for a new car. Something decent. But all this. He waved his hand around the courtroom. This is overkill. This is a waste of everyone's time. My time is worth like $1,000 an hour. Minimum. So the longer we drag this out, the more money everyone in this room is costing me. Someone in the gallery gasped. Another person stood up halfway, then sat back down. The bailiff's hand moved to his radio. Judge Caprio's pen stopped moving. He looked up slowly. Very slowly. Your time is worth $1,000 an hour, he said. Not a question. A statement. At least, Alucin said. Probably more. I'm in crypto. I've got investments. Multiple revenue streams. While I'm standing here, I'm losing money. While you're standing here, Judge Caprio repeated. You're losing money. Yeah, exactly. Judge Caprio set his pen down. Folded his hands. Mr. Reeves, let me ask you something. How much is Mrs. Delgado's time worth? Alucin blinked. What? Her time. Her hour. What's it worth? I don't know. Whatever she gets paid. $15. 20. $15, the judge said. So your hour is worth 67 times more than hers. Alucin shrugged. I mean, that's just how the economy works. Supply and demand. I've got skills that are valuable. She's like a caretaker or whatever. She's a home health aide, Judge Caprio corrected. She takes care of people who cannot take care of themselves. She feeds them, bathes them, keeps them alive. What would you say that's worth? I don't know. Not $1,000 an hour, that's for sure. And then Alucin said it. The thing that changed everything. Look, Your Honor, I get what you're trying to do here. The whole teach the rich kid a lesson thing. But here's the reality. My father has more money than this courthouse cost to build. My family's donated hundreds of thousands to this city. We pay more in taxes every year than most people make in a lifetime. So yeah, I screwed up. But let's not pretend like I'm some regular person. I'm not. I'm worth more than everyone in this room. Combined. And you know it. Everyone knows it. So let's stop pretending we're all equal and just settle this like adults. 10 seconds passed. Complete silence. Nobody breathed. Nobody moved. The air in the room felt heavy, like before a thunderstorm. Electricity crackling just under the surface. Judge Caprio stared at Alucin. His face showed nothing, but his eyes showed everything. Disappointment, anger, sadness, something else, something harder to name. Then the gallery erupted. People shouted, not words, just sounds. Anger, disbelief. A man in a business suit stood up. Are you serious right now? A woman shook her head so hard her glasses fell off. Miguel jumped to his feet. You piece of. His mother grabbed his arm, pulled him back down. Her face was wet with tears, but her expression was different now. Not sad, not scared, determined. The bailiff stepped forward quickly. Order, order in the court. He had to shout it 3 times before people quieted down. But even then, the air vibrated with fury. Judge Caprio waited, perfectly still, until every person was seated, until every mouth was closed, until the only sound was the clock. Tick, tick, tick. Then he spoke. His voice was different. Lower, harder. Each word carved from stone. Bailiff, note for the record that Mr. Alucin Reeves just stated, and I quote, I'm worth more than everyone in this room combined. Time-stamp that statement, please. The bailiff nodded, wrote in his notepad, noted, Your Honor. Judge Caprio turned to the prosecutor. Ms. Chun, do you have the evidence prepared? Yes, Your Honor. All of it. Then let's see it. All of it. Every single piece. For the next 45 minutes, the prosecution laid out their case. Piece by piece. Fact by fact. There was no mercy. No gaps. Just truth. First came Officer Torres. He testified in person. Described arriving at the scene. Finding Rosa in her car, dazed and bleeding. Calling for medical help. Then getting the radio call about the McLaren. When I approached the defendant, he was standing outside his vehicle. On his phone, I identified myself. Informed him he was being detained for leaving the scene of an accident. His response was to laugh. Literally laugh. Then he said, Bro, you're making a huge mistake. Officer Torres continued. I explained that making threats during a traffic stop was unwise. That's when he changed tactics. Got very calm. Said, Look, I'm not threatening you. I'm just saying my family is very connected in this city. Very connected. I can make problems go away. Or I can make them appear. Your choice. The prosecutor asked, What did you do? I informed him he was under arrest. Read him his rights. That's when he reached into his jacket. I drew my weapon. Ordered him to show his hands slowly. He pulled out a stack of cash. Said, You probably make what, $60K a year? This is 10 grand. Take it. Forget you saw me. I promise nobody will ever know. Alucin's lawyer objected. Your Honor, my client denies any intent to bribe. Judge Caprio looked at him. Counselor, we have body camera footage. Would you like me to play it? The lawyer sat down. Said nothing. The footage played on a screen. Everyone watched. Alucin's voice came through clearly. Young. Cocky. Come on, man. 10 grand. Cash. Nobody has to know. I get my car fixed. You get a nice bonus. Everybody wins. Officer Torres on the screen. Sir, you're attempting to bribe a police officer. That's a felony. Alucin on the screen. It's not a bribe. It's a gift. A thank you. For being reasonable. The footage ended. The courtroom stayed quiet. Judge Caprio made a note. Continue, Ms. Chun. Next came the phone records. Printed out. Time-stamped. Detailed. Every call made from Alucin's phone after his arrest. To his father. To his father's lawyer. To a family friend who was a state representative. Then the calls made to the police. To the mayor. To the city council. All between midnight and 3 a.m. All using the same talking points. Do you know who his father is? This is going to be a problem for your career. We donate a lot of money to this city. The city councilman who received one of the calls had submitted a written statement. Ms. Chun read it aloud. The caller identified himself as a friend of the Reeves family. He said, it would be in everyone's best interest if this situation disappeared. The Reeves family has been very generous to many campaigns, including yours. It would be unfortunate if that generosity ended. I interpreted this as an attempt to influence my office through financial pressure. I reported it immediately. Ms. Chun set the paper down, picked up another. Then there's the social media evidence. Mr. Reeves' Instagram account has 340,000 followers. He posts regularly about his lifestyle, his cars, his watches, his parties. On February 20th, 12 days before the accident, he posted this. A screenshot appeared on the screen. Alucin standing next to the orange McLaren. The caption read, "New toy, 710 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds. Let's see what she can do on Providence streets at 2 a.m. No cops, no rules, just speed." The post had 89,000 likes. The comments were full of flame emojis and people saying "beast mode" and "rip it bro." On February 27th, he posted this. Another screenshot. Alucin at a nightclub. Bottles of champagne on the table. Each bottle costs $300. The caption, "Dropped 12K tonight and didn't even feel it." When you're built different, money isn't real. More screenshots. More posts. All showing the same pattern. Recklessness. Arrogance. A complete disregard for rules. For consequences. For other people. Then came the medical records. Rose's injuries. Documented. Photographed. 2 fractured ribs. The x-rays showed the clean breaks. The concussion evaluation. Her speech had been slurred. Her memory spotty. Warning signs of brain trauma. The whiplash diagnosis. Damage to the muscles and ligaments in her neck. 6 to 8 weeks of recovery. No heavy lifting. No driving. No work. The hospital bill. Itemized. $14,247.82. CT scan. X-rays. Ambulance transport. Emergency room evaluation. Pain medication. Follow-up appointments. Rosa didn't have insurance. She'd have to pay every penny. The billing office had already sent a letter. Payment plans available. But payment was required. The car damage. Photos of Rosa's Honda. The entire back end was crushed. The trunk was bent upward. The rear windshield was shattered. Glass everywhere. The frame was bent. The car was declared a total loss. The insurance payout, $2,800. The cost of a comparable used car in safe condition, $7,500 minimum. Finally, Ms. Chun presented witness statements. People who'd seen the McLaren speeding through Providence over the past 3 months. A teacher who'd filed a complaint after Alucin nearly hit her crossing a school zone. A delivery driver who'd been cut off so badly he'd spun out and hit a curb. Neither incident had resulted in charges. Both had been reported. Both had been noted. Your Honor, this isn't an isolated incident. This is a pattern of recklessness, a pattern of using wealth and connections to avoid consequences, a pattern that has now resulted in serious injury to an innocent woman who is simply trying to get home after a long day of work. Ms. Chun turned to face Alucin directly. Mr. Reeves believes his worth is measured in dollars. He believes his time is more valuable than Mrs. Delgado's time. He believes that money can erase mistakes, erase pain, erase responsibility. Today, this court has the opportunity to show him he's wrong. She sat down. The courtroom was silent again. But this time it was different. This time the silence felt like justice gathering itself, like a wave pulling back before it crashes forward. Judge Caprio took off his glasses, rubbed his eyes, put the glasses back on. He looked at Alucin for a long time, studying him, measuring him. Then he spoke. Mr. Reeves, I've been a judge for over 30 years. I've seen thousands of people stand where you're standing right now. Rich people, poor people, young people, old people, people who made mistakes, and people who just didn't care. Do you know what separates them? Do you know what makes the difference? Alucin didn't answer, just stood there. His confidence was cracking now. You could see it. The way his jaw tightened, the way his eyes darted toward his lawyer. Responsibility, Mr. Reeves. The ability to look at what you've done and say, I was wrong. I hurt someone, and I need to make it right. That's what separates a good person from a bad one. That's what separates someone who deserves a second chance from someone who doesn't. The judge leaned forward. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been hungry? Really hungry? Not, I skipped lunch hungry. I mean, I don't know where my next meal is coming from hungry. Alucin shook his head. Have you ever worried about paying rent? About keeping the lights on? About whether your car will start in the morning because you can't afford to fix it? Another head shake. Have you ever worked a job where you stood on your feet for 12 hours straight? Where your back ached and your feet bled, but you couldn't stop because you needed the money. Where you came home so exhausted you couldn't even eat, you just fell into bed and prayed you'd have the strength to do it again tomorrow. No, Alucin said quietly. No, you haven't. And there's no shame in that, Mr. Reeves. You were born into privilege. That's not a crime. That's luck. But what you do with that privilege, that's character. And right now, your character is showing me that you think privilege means permission. Permission to break rules. Permission to hurt people. Permission to avoid consequences. Judge Caprio picked up his pen, started tapping it against the desk. Slowly, like a metronome. You said your time is worth $1,000 an hour. Let's talk about that. Mrs. Delgado works 3 jobs. She leaves her house at 5:30 in the morning. She doesn't get home until 11 o'clock at night. That's 17.5 hours. At $15 an hour, she makes $262.50 per day. Before taxes. You know what you make in that same time. $17,500. You make in one day what she makes in 2 months. He paused. Let that sink in. Now you might say that's fair. You might say you worked hard. You made smart investments. You earned it. But let me tell you something, Mr. Reeves. Mrs. Delgado works harder than you ever have. She lifts people. She cleans people. She comforts people in their final days. She does work that most people couldn't handle for even one shift. And she does it with grace. With dignity, with compassion. So don't you dare tell me your time is worth more than hers. Alucin's hands were trembling now. Just slightly. His face had gone pale. You said you can't control what your father does. That when you called him, you didn't know he'd make those calls. Try to use his influence. Try to make this go away. But that's a lie, Mr. Reeves. You absolutely knew. Because he's done it before, hasn't he? Every time you got in trouble. Every time you screwed up. Daddy made a call. Daddy threw some money around, and the problem disappeared. That's why you were so cocky when you got arrested. That's why you offered Officer Torres $10,000. Because in your world, that's how it works. That's how it's always worked. The judge stood up, walked to the front of his bench, looked down at Alucin. But this isn't your world, Mr. Reeves. This is my courtroom. And in my courtroom, money doesn't buy justice. Connections don't erase responsibility. And nobody, I don't care how rich they are, is worth more than anyone else. He walked back to his chair, sat down, opened the sentencing folder. Mr. Alucin Reeves, you have been found guilty of reckless driving, leaving the scene of an accident causing injury, and attempted bribery of a public official. It's time for you to face the consequences of your actions. The courtroom held its breath. Every eye was on the judge. Even Alucin's lawyer looked nervous, shuffling papers, adjusting his tie. Let's start with the financial penalties, Judge Caprio said. For reckless driving at more than double the speed limit, the fine is $5,000. For leaving the scene of an accident with injury, the fine is $10,000. For attempted bribery of a public official, the fine is $25,000. Total fines, $40,000. Payable within 30 days. No payment plans. Alucin barely reacted. 40 grand was nothing to him. A rounding error. Additionally, you will pay full restitution to Mrs. Delgado. This includes her complete medical expenses, currently totaling $14,247.82. Lost wages for 8 weeks at her average weekly income of $656.25, totaling $5,250. Replacement vehicle cost of $7,500 for a safe, reliable used car comparable to the one you destroyed. Pain and suffering compensation of $25,000. Total restitution, $51,997.82. Payable within 15 days. If not paid in full, your assets will be frozen and seized until the debt is satisfied. Now Alucin looked worried. Not because of the money. He had it. But because this was real. This was actually happening. Next, your driver's license is suspended for 180 days. That's 6 months, Mr. Reeves. You will not drive. You will not sit in the driver's seat of any vehicle. If you are caught driving during this suspension, you will face immediate arrest and a minimum 30-day jail sentence. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor, Alucin said. His voice was smaller now. Younger. Good. Now we come to the part 1 suspect you're not going to like. Community service. Judge Caprio flipped a page. Mr. Reeves, you're going to spend 200 hours working at Providence General Hospital. Specifically, you're going to work with the trauma team. You're going to clean. You're going to mop floors. You're going to empty bedpans. You're going to dispose of medical waste. You're going to do all the jobs that nobody wants to do, but everyone depends on. He looked up, made eye contact, and here's the important part. You're going to be assigned to the night shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., every Friday and Saturday night for the next 25 weeks. You know why? Because that's when the traffic accident victims come in. The drunk drivers, the speeders, the reckless idiots who thought they were invincible. You're going to see what happens to them. You're going to see the blood, the broken bones, the families crying in the waiting room. You're going to see the real cost of reckless driving. Alyson's mouth opened, closed. Your Honor, I'm not finished. Your supervisor will be Dr. Patricia Morrison. She's the head of the trauma department. She's also a friend of Mrs. Delgado. She'll be filing weekly reports on your progress. If you're late even once, you start over. If you complain, you start over. If you show any disrespect to staff or patients, you start over. And you'll be wearing a vest, bright orange, with Court Order Community Service printed on the back in big black letters. Everyone will know why you're there. People in the gallery started smiling, nodding. An older woman whispered, "Good, good." But that's not all, Judge Caprio continued. You're also going to work with Mrs. Delgado directly. 50 hours of service assisting her and other home health aides. You're going to learn what she does. You're going to help elderly people eat. Help them use the bathroom. Help them with their medications. You're going to do the work that you valued at $15 an hour. And you're going to understand just how hard it is. Just how important it is. Just how much dignity and strength it requires. Alyson looked like he might throw up. His face had gone from pale to green. Your Honor, please. Still not finished. You're going to write a letter of apology to Mrs. Delgado. Handwritten. Not typed. Not written by your lawyer. Your words. Your handwriting. Minimum 1,000 words. You're going to explain what you did wrong. Why it was wrong. How it affected her. What you've learned. And you're going to read it to her. Out loud. In person. In this courtroom. With everyone watching. Miguel squeezed his mother's hand. Rosa's face was streaming with tears. But she was smiling. Actually smiling. Furthermore, you're going to complete a driver safety course. 16 hours of classroom instruction on the dangers of reckless driving. You'll watch videos. See statistics. Hear from victims. From families who lost loved ones to people just like you. People who thought they were too skilled, too special, too important to follow the rules. Judge Caprio leaned back. You're also going to complete 12 sessions of counseling focused on empathy and personal responsibility. These will be with a court-appointed counselor. You'll discuss your attitudes about wealth, privilege, and other people. You'll explore why you think your time is worth more than Mrs. Delgado's time. You'll learn, hopefully, that every human being has equal value, equal dignity, equal worth. He paused, took a sip of water. Your social media accounts will be monitored by a probation officer. If you post anything glamorizing reckless behavior, your probation will be revoked. If you post complaints about your sentence, your probation will be revoked. If you post anything disrespectful about Mrs. Delgado, this court, or the justice system, you will be arrested immediately. Alyson's lawyer stood up. Your Honor, I must object. This seems excessive for. Counselor, your client attempted to bribe a police officer with $10,000 in cash. He used his family's wealth and influence to try to corrupt multiple public officials. He showed zero remorse for nearly killing an innocent woman. And then, in this very courtroom, he declared himself superior to every person here. If anything, I'm being lenient. Sit down. The lawyer sat. Judge Caprio wasn't done. Mr. Reeves, there's one more thing. Because you showed such contempt for this court, because you wasted this court's time with your arrogance, because you attempted to use your privilege to escape justice, I'm finding you in contempt of court. That carries a penalty of 15 days in the Providence County Jail. Effective immediately. The courtroom erupted, but this time with applause. With cheers. The bailiff didn't even try to stop it. He was almost smiling himself. Alyson's legs buckled. He grabbed the table for support. What? No. You can't. Bailiff, please take Mr. Reeves into custody. The bailiff walked forward, pulled handcuffs from his belt. Turn around, please. Hands behind your back. Alucin looked at his lawyer. Desperate. Do something. His lawyer shook his head slowly. There's nothing I can do right now. We'll file an appeal. But for now, you have to go. No. No, this is insane. Dad will fix this. Your father isn't here, Mr. Reeves, Judge Caprio said quietly. You are. And right now, you need to accept responsibility for what you've done. The handcuffs clicked shut. The sound echoed through the courtroom. Alucin's Patek Philippe watch, worth $80,000, pressed against the cold metal. His designer jacket bunched up awkwardly behind him. His perfect hair fell into his face. He looked young suddenly. Not like a crypto millionaire. Like a scared kid. Wait, he said. His voice cracked. Please. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. You meant every word, Judge Caprio said. But maybe, just maybe, after you spend some time thinking about what you've done, after you spend some time seeing how other people live, you'll learn what those words actually mean. Real sorry. Not sorry I got caught. Sorry. The bailiff led Alucin toward the side door. Toward the holding cells. Alucin's expensive sneakers squeaked on the floor. Each step slower than the last. Like he was walking through water. Through quicksand. As he reached the door, he looked back. One last time. His eyes found Rosa. She was standing now. Her son's arm around her shoulders. She wasn't smiling anymore. But she wasn't crying either. She just looked at him. Silent. Dignified. Stronger than he'd ever be. The door closed. Alucin was gone. 8 weeks later, the courtroom filled again. Same room. Same judge. Different energy. The gallery was full. People had heard about the case. Wanted to see the follow-up. Local news cameras were positioned in the back. This had become something bigger than one accident. It had become a story about justice. About privilege. About change. Rosa sat in the front row again. Miguel next to her. She wasn't wearing a neck brace anymore. She moved easier. Less pain in her movements. Next to her sat Dr. Morrison from the hospital. And next to her, surprisingly, sat 3 elderly people. Patients that Rosa cared for. They'd insisted on coming. Wanted to support her. The bailiff called the case. Follow-up hearing for Case 2026, TR 33421. The State of Rhode Island versus Alucin Reeves. The side door opened. Alucin walked in. But he looked different. Completely different. He wore jeans. Plain jeans from Target or Walmart. A simple blue t-shirt. No logos. No brands. Regular Nike sneakers. The kind that cost $50. No watch. No chains. No jewelry. His hair was normal. No bleach. Just brown. A little messy. He looked like a regular person. Like someone you'd see at a grocery store and not think twice about. He carried a folder. Papers visible inside. His hands were different too. Rougher. A bandage on one thumb. His walk was different. Slower. Humbler. He approached the bench and stood where he'd stood 8 weeks ago. But his posture was different. No slouch. No phone. Just straight. Respectful. Present. Judge Caprio looked at him. Mr. Reeves, you're here for your progress review. How have the last 8 weeks been? Alucin took a breath. Hard, Your Honor. Really hard. But good. Important. Tell me about your community service. I've completed 87 hours at Providence General. I'm working trauma nights. Friday and Saturday. 11 to 7. Dr. Morrison is my supervisor. Judge Caprio looked at Dr. Morrison. Doctor, how has he performed? Dr. Morrison stood. She's a woman in her 50s. Short gray hair. Scrubs with cartoon characters on them. She'd probably seen everything in her career. Your Honor, I'll be honest. I didn't expect much. I thought he'd quit after one shift. Or complain. Or phone it in. But he didn't. He shows up on time. Works hard. Doesn't complain. Does every job we give him, no matter how disgusting. She paused. 2 weeks ago, we had a 17-year-old come in. Car accident. He'd been street racing. Lost control. Went through a guardrail. He didn't make it. His mother was there when he died. She screamed. Collapsed. It was horrible. Mr. Reeves was there. He cleaned up. And then, on his break, I found him sitting in the stairwell. Crying. I asked him what was wrong. He said, that could have been someone I killed. That could have been Mrs. Delgado's son. That's when I knew he was actually learning something. The courtroom was quiet. Listening. Judge Caprio nodded. Thank you, Doctor. Mr. Reeves, what about your work with Mrs. Delgado? I've completed 22 hours with her and other home health aides. I've worked with 6 different patients. Helped them eat. Helped them with medication. Helped them use the bathroom. Helped them feel less alone. He looked down at his hands. Your Honor, I had no idea. I had no idea how hard that work is. How much patience it takes. How much strength. One of the patients I helped, Mr. Chun, he's 89. He has Alzheimer's. He forgets who I am every day. But every day, Mrs. Delgado comes in and treats him like he's the most important person in the world. She's kind to him. She talks to him. She holds his hand. She makes him feel human. I try to do what she does. I can't. Not even close. She's amazing at it. Rosa wiped her eyes. Miguel squeezed her hand. I also wrote the letter you asked for. Alucin pulled papers from his folder. His hand shook slightly. Can I read it now? Judge Caprio nodded. Please. Alucin turned to face Rosa. Made himself look at her. Mrs. Delgado, I don't know if you can forgive me. I don't know if I deserve forgiveness. But I need to say these things. I need you to know that I understand what I did. He started reading. His voice was steady. Clear. On March 1st, 2026, I almost killed you. Not on purpose. But through my recklessness. Through my arrogance. Through my complete lack of care for anyone but myself. I was driving over twice the speed limit because I thought it was fun. Because I thought I was skilled enough to handle it. Because I thought rules didn't apply to me. I was wrong. I hit your car. I pushed you 40 feet. I could have killed you. And instead of stopping to help, instead of calling 911, instead of checking if you were okay, I drove away. I drove away because I was scared. Because I was selfish. Because I didn't want to deal with the consequences. I left you bleeding and hurt and scared. I left you alone. That is unforgivable. He paused. Swallowed hard. Then I made it worse. I tried to bribe the police officer. I called my father to make the problem disappear. I used money and connections to try to avoid responsibility. And then in court, I said terrible things. I said my time was worth more than yours. I said I was worth more than everyone in the room. I said those things because I believed them. I actually believed that having money made me better than you. I was so wrong. His voice cracked. He cleared his throat. Kept going. These last 8 weeks have taught me what you already knew. That every person has value. That hard work isn't measured in dollars. That dignity isn't bought with money. I've spent time with people you care for. I've seen how you treat them. Like they matter. Like they're important. Because they are. And I've spent time in the hospital seeing what happens when people drive, like I did. I've seen broken bodies. Grieving families. Lives destroyed. I caused that pain to you. And I'm so sorry. Tears ran down his face now. He didn't wipe them away. You said in court that you're not nothing. You're right. You're not nothing. You're everything. You're the person who keeps people alive. Who makes them feel loved. Who works 3 jobs so your son can have a better life than you did. You're strong and brave and kind. And I'm none of those things. Not yet. But I'm trying. I'm trying to be better. To understand what real strength is. What real worth is. It's not money. It's not cars or watches or followers. It's what you do for other people. How you treat them. How you make them feel. He folded the letter. Mrs. Delgado, I can't undo what I did. I can't take away your pain. But I promise I will spend the rest of my life being better. Being the kind of person who helps instead of hurts. Who thinks about others instead of just myself. Who treats everyone with respect. The respect you deserved from the beginning. I'm so sorry. The courtroom was silent. Tissues appeared in people's hands. Eyes were wet. Even the bailiff looked moved. Rosa stood up slowly. Walked to the center of the courtroom. Stood in front of Alucin. He was taller than her. But somehow, in that moment, she seemed bigger. Mr. Reeves, when you hit my car, I was scared. I thought I was going to die. I thought my son would lose his mother. And when I found out you left me there, I was angry. So angry. I thought you were a monster. She paused. But you're not a monster. You're a young man who made terrible choices. Who was taught the wrong lessons about what matters in life. And now you're learning better lessons. I accept your apology. I forgive you. Not because you deserve it. But because holding anger in my heart hurts me. And I've been hurt enough. She held out her hand. Alucin stared at it. Then slowly reached out. They shook hands. Her small, rough hand in his larger, softer one. Thank you, he whispered. Thank you. Rosa nodded. Walked back to her seat. Alucin stood there for a moment, then turned back to the judge. Judge Caprio smiled. Small, sad, proud. Mr. Reeves, I've seen a lot of people stand before me over the years. Many of them don't change. They go through the motions. They do their time. But they don't actually learn anything. You seem different. You seem like you're actually trying. I am, Your Honor. I promise I am. Good. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to complete the rest of your community service. All 200 hours. You're going to finish your counseling sessions. You're going to take that driver safety course. And in 6 months, you're going to come back here. If you've completed everything, if your supervisors give good reports, if you've shown real, sustained change, I'll reduce some of your probation time. Does that sound fair? Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. The hard part is staying changed. It's easy to be humble when you're forced to be. The real test is when nobody's watching. When nobody's making you. That's when character shows. That's when we'll see who you really are. Alucin nodded. I understand. I hope you do, Mr. Reeves. I really hope you do. Because the world needs more people like Mrs. Delgado. People who work hard. Who care about others. Who do the right thing even when it's difficult. The world doesn't need more people who think money makes them special. We've got plenty of those. What we need is people who understand that what makes you special is how you treat other people. Especially people who can't do anything for you. He closed the file. Case continued for 6 months. Mr. Reeves, I don't want to see you back here for anything negative. Understood? Yes, Your Honor. Good. You're dismissed. Alucin turned to leave. Then stopped. Turned back. Your Honor, can I say one more thing? Go ahead. The night I got arrested, I thought my life was over. I thought you were being cruel. Unfair. I thought you hated me. But you didn't. You saw something in me I didn't see in myself. You gave me a chance to become someone better. Someone I'm proud to be. So thank you. Thank you for not giving up on me. Judge Caprio's eyes glistened. We don't give up on people in this courtroom, Mr. Reeves. We hold them accountable. We make them face their choices. But we always give them a chance to change. That's what justice is. Not punishment. Not revenge. Change. Growth. Becoming better than you were. Now go finish your work. I will. I promise. Alucin walked out. Not through the side door this time. Through the main doors. Head up. Shoulders back. Different. The story didn't end there. It spread. Videos of the original hearing went viral. Millions of views. The clip of Alucin saying, I'm worth more than everyone in this room, was shared across every platform. People debated it. Some defended him. Most didn't. But everyone talked about it. News outlets picked it up. Local first. Then national. The story became bigger than Alucin. It became a conversation about privilege. About accountability. About whether the justice system treats rich and poor people differently. Judge Caprio gave interviews. Calm. Measured. He didn't celebrate. Didn't gloat. Just explained his philosophy. Justice means everyone follows the same rules. Everyone faces the same consequences. Money doesn't change that. It shouldn't change that. Providence Municipal Court implemented new policies. Every attempt to influence a case through political or financial pressure had to be logged. Published online. Made transparent. Other courts across the country started doing the same thing. The Caprio Protocol, they called it. 6 months passed. Then another 6. Alucin completed his service. All of it. He finished his counseling. Passed his driver safety course. Dr. Morrison's reports were glowing. He's become one of our most reliable volunteers. Patients ask for him by name. Rosa's life got better. The restitution money helped. She bought a reliable car. A 2018 Toyota Camry. Safe. Dependable. She went back to work. Her ribs healed. The nightmares about the crash faded. Miguel graduated high school. Got accepted to Rhode Island School of Design. Full scholarship. He wants to be an architect. Rosa cried for an hour when he told her. And Alucin? He changed. Really changed. He sold the McLaren. Donated half the money to a charity that helps accident victims. Used the rest to start a foundation. It provides transportation services for home health aides. Free cars. Maintenance covered. Insurance paid. So people like Rosa don't have to worry. His Instagram is different now. Instead of bottles and cars, he posts about the people he meets. The patients. The workers. The quiet heroes nobody notices. He and Rosa aren't friends exactly, but they're not enemies either. Sometimes he helps her with particularly difficult patients. He's gotten good at it. Patient, kind, present. She told a reporter once, "He's not the boy who hit my car. That boy is gone. This young man, he's trying. That's all any of us can do. Try to be better today than we were yesterday." The final hearing was almost anticlimactic. Judge Caprio reviewed everything, smiled, shook Alucin's hand. "You did good, son. Keep doing good." "I will, Judge. I promise." And he did. In the months and years that followed, the case became part of legal education. Law schools used it to teach about judicial discretion, about creative sentencing, about the difference between punishment and rehabilitation. Criminal justice reform advocates pointed to it as evidence that the system could work, that it could change people instead of just warehousing them. Traffic violations in Providence dropped by 23% in the year following the case. Especially in the area where Rosa was hit, people were more careful, more aware. Some because they'd heard the story and it scared them. Some because they'd learned something from it. The hospital where Alucin served created a permanent volunteer program. They called it the Second Chance Initiative. People convicted of certain offenses could serve their community service there, work with trauma patients, see the real consequences of their actions. The program had an 89% success rate, meaning 89% of participants never reoffended, never came back through the system. Other judges started implementing similar sentences. Creative, educational, transformative. The focus shifted slowly from how much should we punish this person to how can we make sure they never do this again. Not everyone loved it. Some people thought Alucin got off easy, thought he should have done real jail time. Years, not days. They had a point. What he did was serious. Could have been fatal. But Judge Caprio's approach was different. He believed in accountability, yes, but he also believed in redemption, in the possibility that people could change, that they could become better than their worst moment. And Alucin proved him right. 5 years after the accident, Alucin's foundation had provided transportation services to 847 home health aides across Rhode Island. His volunteer work at the hospital continued. Every Friday and Saturday night, there he was. No court order anymore. Just choice. Just a man who learned something important and didn't want to forget it. He and Rosa spoke at schools sometimes, together, telling the story from both sides. He talked about privilege, about thinking you're invincible, about learning humility the hard way. She talked about forgiveness, about strength, about what real worth means. Students listened. Some cried. Some changed their behavior. Some didn't. But seeds were planted. Miguel became an architect like he'd dreamed. His first major project was a community center in Providence. It included a clinic, services for elderly people, transportation assistance. A portrait of his mother hung in the lobby. Not a fancy painting, just a photo. Her in her work clothes, smiling. The plaque underneath read, "Dedicated to Rosa Delgado and all the invisible workers who hold our communities together." Alucin was at the opening, standing in the back, quiet. When Rosa saw the portrait, she cried. Miguel hugged her. And when she looked around for Alucin to say thank you because his foundation had donated money for the project, he was gone. He'd slipped out. He didn't need the recognition. Didn't want it. He just wanted to help. That was enough. Judge Caprio retired eventually. His last case was similar to Alucin's. Another rich kid. Another car crash. Another attitude problem. He gave the same kind of sentence. Creative. Educational. Transformative. At his retirement party, someone asked him about Alucin. If he ever had doubts. If he ever worried the kid would just go back to his old ways. "Of course I had doubts," Judge Caprio said. "I have doubts about everyone. But doubt isn't a reason not to try. We have to give people the chance to surprise us, to be better than we think they can be. Sometimes they fail, but sometimes they succeed. And when they do, they change more than just themselves. They change everyone watching. They prove that change is possible. That's worth the risk." Someone asked if he stayed in touch with Alucin. The judge smiled. "He sends me a letter every year. On March 1st, the anniversary of the accident. He tells me what he's learned, what he's done, who he's helped. He always ends the same way. Thank you for seeing something in me I couldn't see. Thank you for not giving up." I keep every letter. They remind me why I did this job for so long. The legacy of Case 2026, TR 33421 extends beyond the people directly involved. It became a symbol, a reminder that justice isn't just about punishment. It's about accountability, yes. Consequences, yes. But also about transformation, about giving people the tools and opportunities to become better. It showed that privilege isn't permanent, that arrogance can be cured with empathy, that someone who thinks they're worth more than everyone else can learn that every person has equal value, equal dignity, equal worth. It proved that the hardest work isn't making money. It's caring for people. It's showing up every day to do difficult, unglamorous, essential work. It's treating everyone, regardless of their wealth or status, with respect and compassion. Rosa never became rich. She never became famous. She continued doing what she'd always done, working hard, raising her son, helping people. But she did become something else. She became proof. Proof that strength isn't about muscles or money. It's about character, about resilience, about continuing to be kind even when the world hasn't been kind to you. And Alucin? He never forgot where he came from. The arrogant kid in the chrome jacket. He kept a photo from that day. Him in handcuffs, face pale, scared. He kept it on his desk. A reminder, not to punish himself, but to remember, to never go back, to always move forward. The courtroom where it happened is still there. Providence Municipal Court. Same wood paneling, same fluorescent lights, same bench where Judge Caprio sat for 3 decades. New judges sit there now. They hear cases, make decisions, try to balance justice with mercy, punishment with rehabilitation. The system isn't perfect. It never will be. But it's trying. Like Alucin, like all of us, trying to be better today than yesterday. On the wall outside Courtroom 3, there's a small plaque. Most people don't notice it, but it's there. It reads, "Justice is not about what you're worth. It's about what you do with what you've been given." Judge Frank Caprio, 1985 to 2024. Simple words, but true ones. Words that changed a life. Maybe more than one. Maybe yours if you're reading this. If you're listening. If you're willing to learn the same lesson Alucin learned. Money can buy many things. A McLaren. A Patek Philippe. A chrome jacket. Followers on Instagram. Bottles at nightclubs. But it cannot buy back time. It cannot undo harm. It cannot purchase respect. It cannot create character. It cannot make you a better person. Only you can do that. Through your choices. Through your actions. Through how you treat other people. Especially people who can't do anything for you. That's what Alucin learned. That's what this story teaches. That's what Judge Frank Caprio spent his career trying to show people. And in the end, in a courtroom in Providence on a cold day in March, justice was served. Not with a hammer, not with revenge, but with wisdom, with creativity, with the belief that people can change, that they should be given the chance, and that when they do change, when they truly transform, everyone benefits. The person who changed, the people they hurt, the community watching, all of us. That's justice. Real justice. The kind that doesn't just punish. The kind that heals. The kind that builds. The kind that gives everyone, regardless of their bank account, an equal chance to become who they're meant to be. Not more valuable than others. Just valuable. Just worthy. Just human. Like Rosa. Like Alucin. Like you. Like all of us.